They want you to believe that the future looks bright. And I want you to believe that the future looks bright. Because the truth is, long term, over time, the future does look bright. And despite what you may believe, I'm actually quite optimistic about the future for everyone. But I can be optimistic until I'm blue in the face. I can't deny the reality of what I see happening right now. And as a boots on the ground operator of a high performance real estate team, I get to talk with so many folks from around the country and around the world who are looking to find their dream home and dream lifestyle. And we want to serve and support everyone at the highest level. And while I'm bullish on the future, I would be completely irresponsible if I did not share what I see happening right now in today's markets. And depending on what your perspective is, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, what you must know. And if you don't like hearing the truth, well, then this is probably not the right channel for you. Because good, bad, right, or wrong, up or down, the real estate market will always trade. The housing market will always trade. And there's no such thing as a bad market. The real estate market is always good for someone. But buying or selling a home right now might not be right for you. And if buying or selling a home right now is not right for you, then please don't buy or sell a home. But if you think that it might be, please do your own due diligence. Do not trust what I'm saying. Verify what I'm saying for yourself. Because a broken clock is right twice a day. And I sure hope that my track record is a little bit better than that, but you don't know, so verify. And here is what we know right now. And if you've been watching for a while, you know that this is nothing new. These are things that I've been talking about for a long time. And Big Papa Powell has said that inflation is out of control. And Big Papa Powell has said exactly what he intends to do in order to bring inflation down. And I'm not going to turn this into a 90-minute video, but Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said this morning that more interest rate increases are likely ahead as inflation is well above, translated differently, out of control to where it should be. And inflation pressures continue to run high. And the process of getting inflation back to 2% has a long way to go. And he went on to say that the labor market is still tight, though there are signs that conditions are loosening. And I've been talking about inflation being out of control for a long time. I've also shared that inflation increasing does not impact everyone the same way. And I'll use myself as the test subject here. When egg prices went through the roof, I can tell you it didn't stop me from buying eggs. When gas prices went through the roof, it didn't stop me from buying gas. When interest rates and home values in my market skyrocketed, it didn't stop me from buying a rental property. Truthfully, none of the inflationary things that have happened so far to date has had an impact on my lifestyle at all, other than the fact that I've noticed it, which I'm sure is going to trigger the comment section and have a lot of you say horrible things about me. But I'm being honest. That's the truth. Do I like paying more for the same things that I used to be able to buy significantly cheaper? No. And if I had my preference, would I prefer to revert back to what things used to cost? 100%. But what I want and what the market dictates are two very different things. But as a boots on the ground operator of a high performance real estate team, I'm aware that there are material changes that are happening right now in terms of making mortgages much easier for the consumer to take advantage of. And I'm aware that there have been lots of regulatory changes that have been made in order to stimulate demand. And while mortgage interest rates are damn near 7% today, and I suspect they're going to go a heck of a lot higher after the election, I also suspect that there's going to be a sweet spot in between now and then where mortgage interest rates get closer to 5%. But I could be wrong. I'm not an analyst, I'm not an economist, And I'm not a financial advisor, although I used to be a stockbroker for damn near 20 years. And I've seen how the movie ends when there's all types of stimulus and the stimulus gets removed. And I've watched what happens when the consumer does not trust the system. And I've studied history well enough to know what happens when systems break, when institutions fail. And right now, we're watching the commercial real estate space fail. We're watching the banking system crack, break, fracture, and eventually fail. We're watching the auto repo market start to fail. And despite all of these potential failures that may or may not happen in the future looks bright. But the question is, who does the future look bright for? Now, if you've been watching for a while, you know that I've talked about I have recently changed my perspective and started looking at the housing market through a new lens. And with very little due diligence on my part, I found 4 homes that are up for auction on this Thursday, right here in my market. But those homes that are available for auction because the bank has taken possession of those properties, almost every single one of them stopped paying their obligation back in 2019. And while it's probably too late for me to get involved in those particular situations, it also made it very clear had I been in front of those particular people who were feeling financial distress prior to them making the decisions that they made, it's very likely that I could have provided a solution that would have created a win win that benefits everyone. And while I don't know if I would have been the right buyer for those particular people this Thursday, which started feeling financial pain back in 2019, I do know that almost no real estate professional is looking at it through the same lens that I am. Because by the time you hear about the foreclosure sale or the auction, it's way too late to get involved, which provides a solution that benefits everyone. And while the latest data from the MLS and the Florida Realtor Association will be reported tomorrow, the most recent data that is going to be reported is over a month old. And while it's certainly instructive and helpful for perspective, it's not current. And the stats that will be published as it relates to distressed sales are accurate, but they're tremendously lagging. Because whatever those numbers which will be reported are, started feeling financial pain 5 years ago or more, depending on how savvy they are, which is a long way of saying if there is a massive black swan event and unemployment skyrockets and people lose their job and their income is cut in half today, tomorrow, or the next day, or some point in the future, it's going to take about 5 years for those distressed sales to hit the market. But personal financial distress is on the uptick in a massive way. And bankruptcies are on the uptick in a massive way. And savings is at an all-time low. And credit card debt is at an all-time high, which tells me there is a massive opportunity to take advantage of if you're capitalized the right way. And the future looks bright. And I intend to get in front of that 5 year window by getting in front of the people who are feeling financial distress now and providing them solutions that could be the right choice for them. And you can expect that I will absolutely share the most recent housing data as soon as it is published tomorrow in all 22 metros within the state of Florida so that you've got the best information to make the best decisions for yourself, for your family, and for your financial bottom line. But I'm also going to start aggressively pursuing and providing solutions for those folks who are feeling financial distress now. Because although the future does look bright, there's going to be a tremendous amount of volatility and a tremendous amount of financial pain that the consumer feels in the near term. And if I wait until everybody's feeling that same pain at the same time, well, then I'm going to be the last one to the market with solutions. And ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, most mortgage rates fell for the third straight week last week, but mortgage demand did not move much. This after a big surge the week before. And this weekly volatility is likely because the overall volume is just so low. Now, the average interest rate for 30-year fixed mortgages with conforming loan balances decreased to 6.73% from 6.77. That's for loans with 20% down. Now, interesting, the rate for jumbo loans rose to 6.8%, and that was the second straight week that it was higher than for conforming loans. And that hasn't happened in about 2 years. And it's probably because tighter liquidity conditions have prompted jumbo lenders to pull back, and that's increasing rates in the process. That, according to an MBA economist. Now, applications to refinance a home loan fell 2% for the week and were 40% lower than the same week 1 year ago. Mortgage applications to buy a home increased 2% for the week, but they were still 32% lower than the same week a year ago. The continued drop in new listings of homes for sale, that's keeping overall sales low. But FHA demand actually rose more than conventional loan demand, which is at least a sign that first-time buyers who generally use FHA are still trying to stay in the game.
FHA buyers are back in the game because they're making it easier for FHA buyers to buy homes, which is another way of saying that they are removing some of the restrictions that have propped us up and protected us from the bad things that happened way back in the day. And I'm talking about the ninja loans. I'm talking about the looser credit standard loans. I'm talking about subprime borrowers getting products that are repackaged to make it easier for them to buy homes, which means at some point the market will be built on quicksand. And while inventory has upticked in my market, and that will be confirmed tomorrow with whatever the latest housing market numbers are, new inventory, new listings are in short supply. And builders are aggressively raising their prices on lots and homes and have a schedule to continue to do so into the future. But if we're making it easier for anybody to buy a home and builders control pricing because they have all the supply or most of it, chances are the housing market, at least in Florida, at least in my market, is going significantly higher up until it's not. But irrespective of whatever happens in the housing market or any other market that may or may not fail, the future looks bright. And if you're interested in seeing how I intend to acquire more real estate for myself and for other opportunistic investors who it may be right for, by providing solutions for people who are in distress right now, then you definitely want to check out my Patreon channel where I go off. And you definitely want to follow me on Twitter where I can never be censored. And if you're thinking about buying or selling anywhere in the state of Florida, please reach out because we would love to help. And ain't nobody getting under market value for their home. And ain't nobody overpaying for a home that they intend to buy. At least not on my watch. Like, subscribe, check out my next video because I suspect you'll love it a lot. And until next time, peace.